All right, let's dive right into 16 Lighthouse Road, the book that kicks off the entire beloved Cedar Cove series by Debbie Macomber. This is where we first meet the people and the secrets of this captivating little town. So I want you to think about this question as we go. Can one single decision made by one person in a courtroom actually change the lives of an entire town? That's the big idea we're going to unpack today. Okay, so first, you have to picture Cedar Cove. It's this gorgeous, idyllic town right on Puget Sound. You can almost smell the salty air and the pine trees. It's the kind of place with charming waterfront houses and a real sense of community. But you know how small towns are. Everybody knows your name, and they absolutely know your business. At the very heart of this town and this story is Judge Olivia Lockhart. She's kind of the moral compass of the family court there, and she is about to make a ruling that will have the whole town buzzing. So, a young couple, Cecilia and Ian Randall, are standing in her courtroom. On paper, this should be simple. It's a straightforward divorce case, and they both agree they want out. But Olivia, she looks past the legal documents. She sees two people who are just drowning in pain. And in a move that completely stuns everyone, she denies their divorce petition. She just refuses to sign off on it because she believes their marriage is being torn apart by grief, not a lack of love. So who are Cecilia and Ian, this couple at the center of this huge town controversy? Let's take a closer look, because their story is really the emotional anchor of this entire book. See, this isn't a simple story of falling out of love. It is a heartbreaking story of being shattered by grief. Just try to imagine this. Cecilia's husband, Ian, is a submariner, so he's on a sub, completely unreachable. While he's away, she goes into premature labor. Their baby daughter is born, but tragically, she dies shortly after. And Cecilia has to go through all of that totally alone. Then Ian finally surfaces, only to be hit with this devastating news that he had a daughter he never even met, and his wife went through hell without him. The grief between them created this massive silent wall, and they just figured divorce was the only way to escape the pain. So while Olivia is busy forcing this couple to reconsider their marriage, her own personal life is about to get very interesting and very complicated. Her ruling has consequences she never saw coming, and it starts with a story on the front page of the local newspaper. And this is where Jack Griffin comes in. He's the handsome new editor of the newspaper, and he is fascinated by Olivia's ruling. He writes a story, it leads to some witty back and forth, and the chemistry between them is, well, it's undeniable. They start dating, and for the first time in about 15 years, Olivia is actually feeling that spark. But, and it's a big but, Jack is a complete mystery. Every time she asks about his past, he changes the subject. It really makes you wonder, can you really build a future with someone who refuses to talk about their past? And if you think that's the only marital drama in town, you'd be wrong. The theme of crisis in a marriage is about to hit much, much closer to home for Olivia through her very best friend. This is Grace Sherman. She's the town librarian, and she's Olivia's rock. She's been married to her husband Dan for 35 years. To everyone in Cedar Cove, their marriage seems solid, comfortable, maybe a little predictable, but stable. Grace thinks she knows everything about Dan. And then one day, poof, he just vanishes. No fight, no warning, no note left on the counter. He's just gone. Grace's entire world is just turned completely upside down in an instant. As you can imagine, Grace's mind is racing with all these awful questions. Is he with another woman? Is this some kind of cliché midlife crisis? Was their whole life together just one big lie? Or worse, is he even alive? The more she starts to dig, the more she uncovers financial problems and secrets she never, ever suspected. The man she was married to for over 3 decades is suddenly a total stranger. All of these different stories might seem separate, but they're all woven together by some really powerful themes that really get to the heart of what Cedar Cove is all about. First, there's grief. It's almost like a character in itself. It's the wall that's standing between Cecilia and Ian, for sure. But it also explains a lot about Olivia, who we learn also suffered a terrible loss when her son died years ago. The book really explores whether grief is something that has to drown you, or if it can be a bridge to understanding. But balancing out all that sadness is the idea of second chances. I mean, that's Olivia's whole philosophy, right? It's why she made her ruling. She believes people can fix what's broken, and she's testing that very idea in her own life by taking a risk on a new romance. And then there's the big one, communication. Or maybe more accurately, the lack of it. It is at the root of almost every problem in this town. Ian and Cecilia can't talk about their pain. Jack won't talk about his past, and Dan just disappears instead of having a conversation. It's a huge reminder of how crucial just being honest is. And finally, there's the community itself. Living in a town like Cedar Cove is a real double-edged sword. On one hand, yeah, the gossip mill is always running and everybody's in your business. But on the other hand, when a real crisis hits, that same community is the safety net that catches you. So after all that, how do these stories wrap up? Well, the book gives us some answers, but it also brilliantly sets the stage for everything that's still to come in the series. By the end, Cecilia and Ian are at a major turning point, forced to finally make a decision about their future. Grace gets a shocking answer about her husband, Dan, but it just opens up a whole new can of worms. And Olivia and Jack, they take a step forward in their relationship, but that shadow from his past is definitely still lingering. There's hope, for sure, but there are no easy answers. And that's really the whole point. This isn't just the end of one book. It's the very beginning of a much larger story about all the lives, loves, and losses in this truly unforgettable town. So it leaves you with this final question to chew on. In a town that runs on secrets and is built on second chances, what's the difference between a secret that's meant to protect someone and one that ends up destroying them? And which truths are actually worth fighting for?